We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Sunday, February 1st, officially on to the month of February. And boy, what a way to cap off the month of January. 5-0 yesterday, absolutely needed it. And a big day yesterday for us on the channel. Again, complete 5-0 day, perfect 5-0. Texas State in the opener goes out and beats ODU. Kansas beats Brigham Young. Darren Peterson's the best player in college basketball. Should be the #1 pick. I mean, I've always been more impressed with Peterson. I just thought the fit might work better for DeBonsta with some teams at #1. It should be Peterson. The only concerns I have is the continuous injury problems with Peterson. I know they just had cramps yesterday, but the game he played and the 19, 18 points on 8 shots, yeah, the dude's really good. And I had wondered, too, DeBonsta in big games. He came through in the second half a little bit, but first half, AJ didn't show up. Kansas finds a way to still cover the 4 points. How about George Mason losing basically for 98% of that basketball game, comes back very end, wins it against the Bonnies on the road. What a victory for the Patriots. Cal Poly goes into the cesspool and beats UCR. I mean, a high-scoring game. I didn't think the cesspool was going to be able to keep up with the high-scoring nature of the Cal Poly Mustangs, and that was exactly the case. So shout out to Cal Poly picking up the win, avenging their loss earlier in the year at home at San Luis Obispo. And closing the night, how about St. Mary's finding a way to cover against Gonzaga, up by 5 at halftime? They choke that thing. Graham Ike makes a 3 with a minute to go to give the Zags a 10-point lead. Doesn't matter. St. Mary's finds a way to get to the line, scores a garbage time layup, and Gonzaga fails the front end of a 1-and-1. We cover because St. Mary's only loses by 8. So a 5-0 day for us yesterday. Let's look for some more momentum with another stacked day of college basketball. I'm really excited for some of these matchups today, especially one in the Big Ten. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we're going to have our NBA best bets. There's some massive games in the NBA tonight, too. Lakers in the Garden, so Lakers versus Knicks, potentially LeBron James' last game in New York, even though he's coming back next season. And Thunder versus Nuggets. Jokic comes back on Friday night. He is obviously playing tonight against the reigning MVP and NBA champion in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the OKC Thunder. And on Greedo Plays MMA today, later today at noon, our UFC fight at Bautista versus Oliveira. Full card predictions. You're not going to want to miss that noon on Greedo Plays MMA, hopefully at noon. And tomorrow on Greedo Plays MMA, our first PFL video of 2026, PFL Dubai. Nurmagomedov versus Davis for the PFL Lightweight Championship. So all that content on Greedo Plays MMA, go subscribe over on that channel as well, and subscribe to this channel before we get things going. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today with college basketball, kicking things off with a matchup between the Merrimack Warriors against the Sacred Heart Pioneers in the Metro Atlantic Conference. I'm going Sacred Heart on the road, plus 6.5. This game is all about momentum to me, and all the momentum in the world is on the side of the Sacred Heart Pioneers. I think it's a perfect spot for them here, and when I look at this game, just by the way these two teams play, very different. Merrimack wants to play a slower style. They want to really maximize their possessions, and a typical win for the Merrimack Warriors is going to be a final score where they're in the high 60s. Sacred Heart's ideal victory, they're in the 70s or potentially the 80s. One team plays fast, one team plays fairly slow. Let's see how those styles combine, I guess, tonight. But all the momentum in the world is on the side of Sacred Heart. They kicked off Metro Atlantic play 1-6, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1-6. Or was it 0-6? Might have been 0-6. They were awful. And we were talking about Sacred Heart at the beginning of the year. They were 1-6. They had one victory over, who was it? It was Mount St. Mary's. They went on the road and beat. But we talked about it earlier in the year in the Metro Atlantic, like this was a bottom-of-the-barrel squad. Well, how about 5 consecutive victories? They were 1-6 at one point in time, and now 5 straight wins. And there are some bottom feeders here. There's 3 of them. But you know what? A win at Siena, that's a great victory by 6 points. A road victory at Ryder by 20. A win over Canisius, who's awful, but they beat them by 3 points. Niagara, they find a way to win by 1 in their last outing, just over the weekend, a couple days ago, on Friday, going on the road to Quinnipiac, scoring 98 points and picking up a win. Sacred Heart, again, it's not just the fact that they're winning games and there's wins in the win column now. No, it's the style in which they're winning basketball games. 98 points against Quinnipiac, 105 on the road against the Ryder Bronx, 86 on the road against Siena. They're putting up points, and it's just been a different Sacred Heart team in their last couple of games, and I think they continue that momentum here tonight against a really good Merrimack Warriors team. A Merrimack Warriors team that you would probably say is the best team in the conference, and that'd be them or the St. Peter's Peacocks, as both the Peacocks and the Warriors have split so far this season, with St. Pete's winning the first one and Merrimack just winning their last game the other day at home by 8 points. But again, momentum's a real thing in college basketball, and as long as Sacred Heart plays their style of game today, they should be able to play a really tough one against Merrimack, because again, points are at a premium in most Merrimack Warriors games. And when I watch Sacred Heart, it's a team that gets out and gets running if they hit their shots like they've been doing their last couple of games. I have quite a bit of confidence in this team. And the scoring nights recently out of Anquan Hill, phenomenal stuff. This 6'9 senior out of Pennsylvania, averaging 17 points per game, played 1 year at FDU, then went to St. Bonaventure. This is now his second year with the Sacred Heart Pioneers. But these games have been putting up recently 22 points against Siena, 26 points against Ryder, 19 points against Niagara, 26 points against Quinnipiac. The guy barely comes off the court, and he's putting up 20-point nights on every single game that he's playing. And again, Sacred Heart has been tested on the road recently, going to Quinnipiac and winning and scoring 98 points. I'm not going to put too much in the Ryder game because Ryder's dead last in the conference, but how about going to Siena and going there and putting up 86 points against a Siena team that is third currently in the Metro Atlantic, just behind the Peacocks and the Warriors. So Merrimack 9-2 in conference play. They've been really good. Their 2 losses on the road in New Rochelle against Iona, and on the road in New Jersey against the Peacocks of St. Peter's. Still, though, I think this one is going to be really tight, because when we look at all the scores that Merrimack has, they are all razor-thin games, and these two teams have met earlier in the year. They played at Sacred Heart, and Merrimack did go to Fairfield, Connecticut, and they won the game. They won it by 8 points. But again, it is a much different Pioneers team now than what we saw in late December. Again, it's been a while since that first outing was had. Sacred Heart was 1-2 at the time in the conference. Obviously, now they've gone through their 5-game winning streak, and we don't need them to win this game outright. We just need them to stay within 6.5, and I think that's a more than doable spot, more than doable task, at least, for the Pioneers tonight, just because of their high-scoring nature. Look at the games Merrimack's playing. They're winning, and sure, I will say they're covering 6.5 in a lot of these games recently, but it's just because a lot of these opponents that they're playing in the Metro Atlantic just can't score. Sure, again, they've split with St. Peter's this year. First game at St. Peter's, they lose 76-63. Second game, they win 67-59. But again, only 67 points. Game prior to that against Iona, 60 points for them against the Gales. Obviously, Iona wins it in New Rochelle by 1 point, 61-60. Game prior to that, they go to Marist and win, but again, scoring 68. They did score 83 against Quinnipiac, I'll give you that, but a lot of these games are not that high scoring, and I get it. You know, the Pioneers' defense isn't phenomenal. Sacred Heart's not going to lock you down defensively, but Merrimack is really going to be tasked with scoring, and this is a team that's gotten into the 90s once all year long, and that was in a November road game against BU. They haven't really been high scoring all season long, and I don't think that would randomly change today. So as long as Sacred Heart hits their shots, because they're going to be presented with opportunities. I understand Merrimack's defense is going to be better than a lot they've been seeing recently out of the Metro Atlantic. That's why Merrimack obviously is a higher level team in the conference, but I do have quite a bit of confidence here in Sacred Heart to just be able to score and make this a fight. As for the Warriors, we talked about Anquan Hill again being the leading scorer for the Pioneers. The Warriors look to Cavier Kennedy and Ernest Shelton. Kennedy averaging 17 points per game. This is a true freshman for Merrimack, put up 23 recently in the Iona game. He's not going to come off the court. Plays, again, all 40 for the Merrimack Warriors. And then there's their 2/3, primarily plays the 2, Ernest Shelton, averaging 16 points per game. Another player who does not come off the court for Merrimack, just put up 40 minutes in the St. Peter's game, where he did score 21 points, leading the Warriors in points. This is a Warriors team that goes 6-man rotation. They play Kennedy, Shelton, and Ty Dorsett the entire way. They're going to play all 40 minutes. And then you're going to see Todd Bronga, Andreas Mero, and Casey Ugowaski then split the remaining minutes. Each of those guys are going to play about 30. So 28, I guess, if you want to do the math technically. That's just how they play. They're going to play 3 guys the entire game. They're going to constantly rotate the other 3. It's a 6-man rotation for Merrimack, and I think the way that Sacred Heart's playing currently, I don't believe going 6-man rotation is going to bode too well against a team that plays like this. So I'm going to go Merrimack to not cover today. I'm going to go Sacred Heart on the road plus 6.5. I personally believe it's just too many points, and I think momentum's a real big thing in college basketball. I understand the games in North Andover, Massachusetts, but I still believe Sacred Heart can cover the points here. I think it's just too many for the way that they've been scoring currently, and just the way this game should stylistically play out. So I'm going to go with the Sacred Heart Pioneers on the road at Merrimack to cover 6.5 points for our first best bet of the day. On to our second best bet of the video. Let's go to the Big 12 Conference. We were successful in our Big 12 game yesterday. Hopefully we get more of the same today. Now, obviously not the high-level matchup with the number 1 and number 2 picks in the NBA draft type of matchup we got yesterday, but nonetheless, it is a Big 12 game as we've got the TCU Horned Frogs going on the road to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm going with Texas Christian on the road to win outright at -115. I believe, again, TCU is the better team. I know the game's in Colorado. I don't think the straight home court advantage for the Buffs with this game being in Boulder overtakes and overplays the fact that TCU should just I don't want to say manhandle. The fact that the TCU should overpower what Colorado's trying to do tonight. Game should be competitive in the first half. I do think TCU breaks away from there. Texas Christian has not been a bad road team this season. Last road game, they went to Waco, beat Baylor, scored 97 points against the Bears, won 97-70. Earlier in the year, they went to Brigham Young. They were up, 10 points with a couple minutes left in the first half against BYU. BYU came back and ended up winning the game by 6 points as Brigham Young, as we've seen many times this year. The Cougars are a second half team this year, but TCU plays very well at Brigham Young. Second game of that Utah trip, they go to Salt Lake, and they do lose by 3 points to the Utah Utes, but this has not been a bad road team this season. When they went to Kansas, they put up 100 points in the Jayhawks. They lost because they gave up 104 in OT, but again, they scored 100 points. Darren Peterson scored 32, and the Jayhawks won. No shame in that. TCU has played really good road basketball this season, and sure, their only thing to show for it is the Baylor game, but every game they've been competitive in, and obviously Colorado's not that great. I know what you can say, well, they didn't go on the road and beat Utah, and Colorado's, I guess, better than Utah because they beat them once this season, but are we watching the way Colorado's been playing recently? Now, I had a lot of optimism around this team after they played Texas Tech really competitively at home in Boulder, and they almost won. They went to Cincinnati and put up, a fight against the Bearcats. They went to Morgantown, they were kind of in against WVU, and then they had the game against Kansas where there were some big shots hit by Kansas, some questionable calls, a lack of a call on a Melvin Council steal, whatever, it is what it is. But Colorado, there was some optimism around them. And they played UCF at home, lost by 9 points. And then they went to Iowa State and lost by 30. It's just, and I know, again, I'm not expecting them to go to Ames and beat the Cyclones. I'm not expecting them to win a lot of these games. Obviously, we would have liked them to cover against the Jayhawks a couple weeks ago, but it's the fact that they're not closing the deal in any of these. Do I think the game's going to be competitive today between Texas Christian and Colorado? Absolutely. This should be a game that goes down to the wire. You get two teams that, kind of play similar in terms of what they are in the Big 12, and Colorado has been just right there all year long in B12 play. I get it. I just think TCU finds a way to win in the end, honestly. And again, I've seen Colorado lose too many close games this year. Their 2 wins in the Big 12 this year in Tempe against Arizona State, who we know aren't that great. I know, they gave Arizona a little bit of problems yesterday, but obviously the Wildcats still won their interstate matchup. And the other victory for Colorado is at home against the Utah Utes, who can be really bad, I will say. And, I know TCU lost to Utah this year, but games in Salt Lake, if the Utes are going to Texas Christian, best believe, or if they're going to Fort Worth, best believe the Horned Frogs are winning that basketball game. So honestly, I'm not that concerned here in this spot. I know what Colorado brings. I know they're, guys, they're guards who can score. We're looking at Isaiah Johnson. We're looking at Barrington Hargress. I know, again, Isaiah Johnson has been so great for this team. True freshman from Los Angeles, just put up 24 points in the Iowa State game. Has been good all year long, right? I mean, him and Barrington Hargress have been good for the Buffs. Hargress obviously escaping the cesspool known as UC Riverside last season. He was great for the Highlanders last year, averaging 20 points per game. Come on over now for his junior year at Colorado. He's been good, but obviously recently, and as Isaiah Johnson's gotten more and more settled in, Barrington Hargress has taken somewhat of a step back because, again, of the emergence and just how good Isaiah Johnson has been. Sebastian Ranchik, all right, he can score. Bengo Dak. Dak's good. I always say it every single time about Dak. He takes a lot of three-point shots. He's a 20% three-point shooter, but there's always a moment in every Colorado game I've ever watched where if I bet against Colorado, Bengo Dak is going to hit that 1-3 that, he might be 0 for 4, but in 2 minutes left in the second half, 2 minutes left in the game, he's still going to attempt that corner 3. And when you just think, he's going to miss another one, he always comes up somehow, some way with that clutch three-pointer. It's something that I've seen for the last 2 seasons now with Bengo Dak over with Colorado. But yet, I still think Texas Christian wins. TCU can score. TCU can get into the 90s like we saw in the Baylor game. We've seen the 100 points they scored at Kansas. I mean, this is a competitive team that does score points. David Punch has been their leading player all year long. Sophomore 6'7" from Texas, averaging 15 points per game. He's been great for them all season long. Just put up 16 points in their loss against the Houston Cougars. Again, Punch is their guy, but Xavier Edmonds is averaging 12. Jaden Pierre averaging 11 points per game as well for the Horned Frogs this season. I think it's a better team. I think it's a better team. We've seen so many times here Colorado struggle to close games. And I know I'm not going to, go out here and tell you TCU's been the best finisher of games either. Again, they have lost competitive games, but slight difference in some of these spots. I mean, TCU's losing these close games on the road. Colorado's losing close games at home. A little bit of a difference. And TCU's losing close games at Brigham Young, who has A.J. Devonsta. It's a top 15 team. They're losing at Kansas by 4 points in overtime with Darren Peterson, who Darren Peterson had potentially that was the best game of his collegiate career up into that point, scoring 30-plus at home in Lawrence. Right, this team's losing to really good teams on the road, and I think we do need to talk about as well that last game TCU played on the road, albeit in their state, but still they go to Waco and a huge victory, scoring 97 points, winning 97-90. It was not David Punch, it was Jaden Pierre who really stepped up scoring-wise. Now, it's the only double-digit game Pierre has had in the last, 3 weeks, but he shows up, scores 25 points against Baylor in 36 minutes. It shows, again, TCU does have a wide range of players that if they need to get going, they can. Again, it was not Punch in that game for TCU because he didn't play. Comes back in the Houston game. He was out for that game against Baylor. Plays the Houston game, and again, Jaden Pierre was the guy to pick things up for the TCU Horned Frogs. But Punch is obviously back. Played the Houston game, and I have quite a bit of confidence here in TCU to win this one. Sure, they did lose to Houston, but Houston, again, top 10 team in the country, competitive loss. I'm okay. Punch only played 29 minutes. I'd expect a little bit more tonight for him and the Horned Frogs. I'm going TCU. TCU, I think, just has too much talent for Colorado. I know the game's in Boulder. I don't think the crowd's going to play too much of a difference here because, well, look at Colorado's record. And, yeah, I guess Buffs fans are kind of just, I don't know. What can I say? Just underwhelmed? Hey, you're never going to replicate those 2 years with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. And now I'm serious. Unfortunately, Colorado Athletics have peaked. At least in this generation they have. Those 2 years, oh my goodness. Never forget, Colorado State overtime, late night, game started at like midnight on the East Coast. That was one of the greatest things I've seen in a while. Just with Colorado sports, at least. That was phenomenal. The Baylor game in football last year, oh my goodness. Anyways, I'm taking TCU. Give me Texas Christian on the road to beat Colorado minus 115. On to our third best bet of the video. We move now to a matchup in the Sun Belt. I know, yes, I'm taking Louisiana Monroe again. Yeah, I know that might sound odd. Guys, ULM is playing decent basketball. And I know, I'm saying that about a team that is 0-10 in the Sun Belt this season. I understand. They're not playing that poorly right now, though. Like, they've been really, well, their last game, they were really in it, okay? Very competitive game against Georgia Southern. And did I take UL Monroe in that game strictly and purely off the fact that I love what UL Monroe's doing and, what they can be this year? No, okay? I took them because, well, Georgia Southern isn't very good. I took them because the game was supposed to be played in Monroe, Louisiana. Georgia Southern came to Monroe to play a game. It got moved back one day, and all of a sudden they're playing at Grambling State. There was not a single, there was no video of that game, so I'm not joking. I had to listen to it on iHeartRadio to a Monroe, Louisiana local station, and I was listening to the Jimmy's Pizza House broadcast, wherever the hell it was. They had to tell you Jimmy's Pizza House every 10 seconds watching that broadcast, even though I will not lie, the one announcer did a very good job on that game. But UL Monroe found a way to cover. They were winning in spots, man. UL Monroe never dipped beyond the 10 points. Obviously, we were getting 10 in that game for UL Monroe. They never dipped beyond that. They were always competitive. They made their runs, but the Eagles held them off. And UL Monroe had a game-winning shot at the end of that game. Again, I didn't watch it because there was no film of that game. I'm listening to the entire thing, but it was Dylan Diaz who hit a big three 2 minutes earlier in the game, gets a corner three, I believe. That's at least what I remember hearing. He got a corner three to try to tie the game after Spud Webb went 1 for 2 from the free throw line for Georgia Southern. Dylan Diaz missed the game tying three, and Georgia Southern won. But we didn't care. We had 10 points on the Warhawks. We're getting 9.5 now on ULM at home. So everything that I've seen indicates that Louisiana Monroe is back in Monroe for this game. I think there was flooding and just obviously the East Coast storm going on. It appears that they're not playing this game at Grambling. Originally, this game, by the way, was supposed to be yesterday, but it got moved back one day because they didn't want ULM playing it back-to-back, essentially. But anyways, it appears this game is going to be in Monroe, Louisiana at the Fant Ewing Coliseum. So ULM is actually back at home. But again, let's bring this up too. Weird circumstance for Coastal. You're just hanging around Monroe, Louisiana for an extra day. You get there a day early now. You're just sitting in Monroe, Louisiana. because you thought you were going to play Saturday, but out of your hands, out of your control, and out of ULM's control as well. But now you're waiting for ULM. I mean, listen to this if you're Coastal. You get to ULM and on Friday night, and ULM's playing in a different city against a different Sun Belt team. You think you're playing Saturday, then it gets revealed during the broadcast. I heard this for ULM versus Georgia Southern that, okay, yeah, we have an update. ULM's not playing tomorrow. They're going to play Sunday now. They said that during the game. So Coastal's in Monroe, Louisiana. They get news that, okay, our game's been pushed back a day now. So now we have 2 days in Monroe, Louisiana, where apparently there's a storm. So you're probably sitting inside a hotel room for the most part. And now you got to wait an extra day. Now you're playing on a Sunday where, again, in the Sun Belt, you don't play Sundays. And you're playing on a Sunday in Monroe, Louisiana against a team that, almost won their last game, but a team that's gaining momentum and a team that almost won without one of their leading scorers against Georgia Southern. So basically what I'm trying to convey to you is this is a trap game for Coastal Carolina. That's what I'm trying to convey here. It is a complete trap for Coastal walking into ULM here. ULM may be 0-10 in the conference, and yeah, they kind of deserve to be 0-10. They're not very good, but it's a team that's fighting right now. It's a team that's desperate to get a victory, and they just played Georgia Southern in a very odd circumstance, and they're playing Coastal, honestly, in another somewhat odd circumstance as well, but this time they're officially at home. I don't know how much of a crowd they're going to get in Monroe today. I wouldn't expect to see, a crazy attendance, but regardless, they're back at home here, and it appears that Lavelle Brodniks should be back. I thought Brodniks was going to be back for the last game, at least according to the Jimmy's Pizza House, it was Johnny's Pizza House. And I listened to that like 20 times all game long, and I still got the name wrong. According to the Johnny's Pizza House Monroe broadcast, the ULM broadcast presented by Johnny's Pizza House, Brodniks is supposed to be back for their next game. He was questionable to play that last game against Georgia Southern, did not play. He gets an extra day now to prepare for this matchup against Coastal. They should get Brodniks back, who does average 13.5 points in his senior year. Christian Lewis is the guy, though, for ULM. I mean, I heard Christian Lewis's name all day long in that broadcast. Him and MJ Russell do a lot for this ULM team. And as for the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, they were winners in 5 of their last 5 games prior to the last matchup in Mobile, Alabama, losing to Southern Alabama, where they only scored 48 points. But they had put together a 5-game winning streak prior to that. All their games really competitive, though. 5-point win against App State, 2-point win in West Virginia against Marshall, 4-point win in overtime at Georgia Southern, 2-point victory at home against Texas State, a blowout win at home against Southern Miss, but a lot of these games are tight for the Chanticleers. And what I mentioned earlier in the week, and the first time we picked ULM this week, was that, okay, yeah, this team may be 0-10, but I will tell you this, they score points. They average like 80-plus points per game or high 70 points per game. They're going to score, and if you're going to beat this team, and if you're going to cover 9.5, or obviously it was more points earlier in the week, but today it's 9.5, if you're going to cover 9.5 points against ULM, yeah, you got to score like 90 against this team, which I know Coastal is capable of doing, but it's just a lot to ask in another weird circumstance type game. The Chanticleers led in scoring by Joshua Beadle, Rashid Jones, and AJ Dansleer. Beadle, again, averaging 17 points per game in his senior year, played 2 years at Clemson, one at BC, now with the Chants. Rashid Jones, a junior who's in his second season with Coastal Carolina, and AJ Dansler, I believe, is a junior as well. Yes, junior point guard for this team, averaging 15 points a night, was at Lemoyne last year. He was their starting one. Yeah, I like ULM here. I like ULM potential and should be getting Brodniks back tonight. He's not even, their top 2 scorers, but Brodniks is a huge rebounder for this team. I think ULM covers. Guys, trust me, they're just a tough team to put away. I'm going to take the Warhawks to cover 9.5 points at home. They got to win a Sun Belt game eventually. I know they've been piss poor for most of the season. They're not 0-10 bad, though. So they're going to win one eventually. I'm not telling you it's going to be tonight, but I do think they're still a very active underdog. I'm going to take ULM at home to cover 9.5 points against the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. On to the biggest matchup of the day by far. It's in the Big Ten. As the Illinois Fighting Illini go on the road to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, I am pumped. It doesn't get better than this. I mean, we've had so many great college basketball games this week, starting early in the week, obviously, with Brigham Young versus Arizona. Then we got Nebraska versus Michigan. And then we got Michigan State. And then yesterday we got BYU and Kansas. And here's another phenomenal. How about, by the way, UCLA, Indiana yesterday? The Hoosiers finding a way to win in double overtime? I mean, come on now. Send the Hoosiers to the tourney. What are we doing? Illinois, Nebraska, one of my favorite matchups too. I mean, guys, I might be more excited about this game than I have really with any other one except for Brigham Young, Kansas yesterday, because I was pumped. Oh, BYU, Arizona too was a monster game. What can I say? There's just been a lot of great college basketball, and I've been excited. But this is good. Because With all due respect to Nebraska, I think Nebraska's great. Okay, I want to get this out of the way right now. I really think Nebraska's good. I don't think they're any bit fraudulent. I think they deserve to be at the top of the Big Ten. Guys, they are this close to beating Michigan. They are a couple bad calls away from beating Michigan at Ann Arbor. They were up for a majority of that game, and they played a phenomenal game against the Wolverines. And the second half didn't entirely go the way they wanted it to, and they obviously you would have liked to hit more shots in that game 100%, but again, I don't think they played a poor game. Again, and yes, you can say the officiating was not good because it wasn't. But I kind of believe Illinois is a Final Four team right now. I'm starting to believe that the Illinois Fighting Illini are going to win the Big Ten. I don't know. Guys, I keep watching Illinois and the run that they're on, and again, all the respect in the world in Nebraska. Their last loss it's the Huskers. That's their only loss in Big Ten play. It was their second or third game in the Big Ten. Second, they played Ohio State and lost to Nebraska. Huge, right? Nebraska went to Urbana-Champaign and beat that team. Again, I will give all the credit in the world to Nebraska. If Nebraska wins this game, I'll tell you they're the best team in the Big Ten. I will tell you they're better than Michigan, because if that game's in Nebraska against Michigan, likely the Cornhuskers win that game. So to me, this is 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten. I know Michigan's really good. I'm still going to remain on the fact that I think Michigan's beatable. I think they're very beatable. And I was pumping at Michigan a lot at the beginning of the year. And don't get me wrong, guys. If I had to pick a Final Four right now, I'd probably throw Illinois in there. I'm probably throwing Michigan in there. Okay, I just with all due respect to Nebraska, in a tournament, I'm probably going to take Michigan over them, at least right now. I think Michigan's the more equipped team to go far in the tourney. But I mean, I don't know how the brackets are going to look. But off the top of my head, the 4 teams I would put in the Final Four currently would be Illinois, it would be Michigan, it would be Arizona, and yes, it would be the Kansas Jayhawks. Those would be the 4 teams I'd put in the Final Four right now. Obviously, again, the brackets won't work that way. Obviously, I don't think they'd all be in different brackets. But off the top of my head, those would be the 4 teams I would like the most to go to the Final Four currently. In terms of just what I've watched this year and the confidence I have in those teams, that's what I would have currently. But anyways, and again, we have a lot of college basketball left. I know UConn's a thing. I know Duke. I get it. Gonzaga's not that good. They're okay. They're not great. But anyways, this is a massive game. It just is. Both these teams love to shoot the 3-point ball. Should be really exciting. High scoring. I think Illinois gets the better in Nebraska, though. I think they do. Guys, I'm telling you, the way Illinois is playing right now, and the game for me, I'm sure a lot of people, was the Purdue game. The Purdue game immediately I'm like, all right, we got to really take Illinois seriously. They take 43 pointers in that game. They shoot it at a 50% rate, and the big time threes they hit. I mean, they're losing late in the second half. I need to get I'm gonna need to get the exact score. But this team's down 4 points. They're down 4 points with 3 minutes to go. Purdue's got the ball. I believe, it was a loose ball foul on Oscar Clough. Tomislav Ivisic, they call it flagrant on Clough. Ivisic goes to the line, hits 1 or 2, and then immediately redeems himself by hitting a 3-pointer. And it's a tie game. Trey Kaufman hits a shot, and then Jake Davis on the other side finds himself in the corner wide open for a 3. Then Mirkovic hits a 3, and now all of a sudden, Illinois is up by 4. Trey Kaufman hit another shot, and then Tomislav Ivisic with another 3 to go up by 5. Braden Smith responds with the 3. Keaton Wagler hits a shot, and it's just, Wagler then goes to the free throw line, and Illinois wins it. But obviously, the reason they won that game was the 3-point shooting, and it was Keaton Wagler, too. Wagler scoring 46 points. He was 9 for 11 from beyond the arc. Phenomenal game. I mean, you can't ask for a better game out of a player, out of a freshman player that Wagler is. He is a talent. And the problem with Illinois, everyone shoots the ball. Everyone can shoot from beyond the arc. Wagler's great. Both Ivisics can shoot. Both Zvonimir, Tomislav. Mirkovic is going to shoot. Jake Davis is going to shoot. Andrei Stojakovic is going to shoot, even though Stojakovic has been very mid all year long, except for the Minnesota game off the top of my head, so the Maryland game off the top of my head, but it's okay. Stojakovic, he was good non-conference wise, but oh my goodness. Big Ten play, he's kind of just disappeared. Except for the last Nebraska game, Stojakovic was pretty solid. He can't find a 3 in Big Ten play. It's kind of odd. But they're a problem, man. Everyone shoots. And Nebraska, same exact thing. The Michigan game, I know they lose it by 3 points, and a lot of things just doesn't go their way. But Price Sanford is an absolute player. That dude, I know the official tally is 5 for 16 from beyond the arc against Michigan, but that first half that he has, Jamarcus Lawrence can hoop, right? And they're doing that without Mass. Their center's not playing. That was a remarkable game for Nebraska on the road against Michigan. Again, you would have loved to win the game. And obviously they don't. And they're doing this, again, shorthanded. No Mast. Frager doesn't play that game against Michigan. He gets injured in the Washington game. I don't think he's back today, nor do I think Mast is going to be playing this game because he got hurt in the Minnesota game. But I'm telling you, when Nebraska is going to be at 100%, yeah, they are going to be very dangerous. And this team is going to make a push in the tourney. Again, I don't believe their guys are back today. Frager questionable, so we'll see. Mast not playing though, so we shall see. This should be a really good game, but I think Illinois gets it done. I think Illinois avenges their loss from the beginning of the season. It's as simple as, again, I know how good Wright Stanford is. He's an absolute player, absolute hooper. Wagler's going to hit some big shots in this game. Wagler's going to hit some massive shots in this one. And just the players up and down this Illinois team, they're loaded, man. They are a loaded team. Obviously, you know, they've got their injuries too with Killian Boswell out currently, but they just find ways to win. Boswell, I believe, soon to return, I think, like in the next couple of weeks. He got the broken hand, we shall see. But I mean, with Boswell out, obviously, right, you're finding different guys bringing the ball up the court. Sometimes it's Stojakovic, sometimes it is Wagler. They're finding ways, man. And I just think the way that they play and the way that they shoot the ball, and if they have nights like they did in West Lafayette against Purdue, they're so difficult to beat. I'm telling you right now, like, I think Illinois is a Final Four team. Obviously, we've got a lot of season left to play. We've got over a month still of just the regular season, but I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini today on the road. I think this is great value for them. I know the game's at Nebraska. I know that crowd's going to be going, but I am going to be taking Illinois on the road. Plus 125 for the Fighting Illini to walk into Nebraska and win. Give me Illinois. On to our final best bet of the video. We move now to a matchup on CBS Sports Network. I know this isn't the biggest way to end the video. We just went from one of the biggest games of the year to the SoCon. East Tennessee State goes on the road to Spartansburg, South Carolina to take on the Wofford Terriers. Woo! Ooh, what a game. Give me East Tennessee State. Give me ETSU. What a crappy last game they played. At home against the West Carolina Catamounts and lost. Wow. By the way, I did consider taking West Carolina today against Samford at home. I thought better of it. I said, you know what? I don't want it. We're going to take the Metro Atlanta game instead. But ETSU against Wofford today, I think ETSU bounces back. Guys, I've watched a lot of Wofford this year. Honestly, I have, just because I've tried to fade Wofford quite a bit. I don't think they're that good. I don't know. Like, okay, they beat Chattanooga. Guys, Chattanooga's the worst team I've ever watched. And I say that a lot about a lot of teams, so again, take that with a grain of salt, my statement there. But Chattanooga's awful. They're so bad. And you know, I know, again, right, Wofford wins the game by like 30 points, and I'm not going to complain about not getting that one with Chattanooga, but I mean, the Mocs let them go on a 20-0 run to close the first half, and they come out of half, and they score 4 more. I mean, it's a 24-0 run, basically, in that game for Chattanooga over Wofford. Like, come on, man. I mean, again, Wofford's winning games. Am I impressed with the way Wofford's winning games? The answer to that question, honestly, is no. I'm not impressed with these wins. Furman on the road by 4. Okay, good. Furman's all right. They're a good team. Samford at home by 10. Sure. I guess. Samford's not that great. Mercer at home by 3. Sure. Like, they're getting by. I think ETSU is so much more talented. I know they slipped on a banana peel in their last game and lost to West Carolina. It was their second loss in SoCon play this year, and the first one was West Carolina as well at home. So maybe it's just something about the Catamounts. That's kind of what I'm getting at here with the Buccaneers. Maybe it's something about the Catamounts that they just can't get. West Carolina has 4 wins in the conference. Half of them are the number 1 team in the conference in ETSU. Maybe it is just something about West Carolina. That's kind of what I've gotten from that. Because ETSU has looked so good against everybody else. I know you can say, well, they barely got by Chattanooga on the road. Sure, they barely got by Samford on the road. The talent to me on ETSU is better than everything. Well, okay, I can't say like every single player is better. But I believe there's more talent on ETSU, and I'm more confident in taking ETSU. Oh, by the way, I think they get revenge from the tournament last year in the SoCon where they lost in the championship game to the Wofford Terriers. I mean, this is a big revenge spot for ETSU. I understand, there's not like rivalries anymore in college basketball. Sorry, it wasn't the championship game last year. It was the first round, wasn't it? Yeah, pretty sure that was the first round matchup last year. Definitely not the championship game. But anyways, that was 3-6, I think. Yeah. Anyways, I know, again, college basketball, you don't have the same guys coming back and whatnot. Like, I mean, Kamari Peterson was the best guy last year for ETSU, and now he's at Washington. But it is still a somewhat of a revenge game for ETSU, trying to go in and get their get back from being upset last year in the first round of the SoCon tourney. And I do just think there's more talent on East Tennessee, and as well, I think they can get out and score more than Wofford can. I know Eastern Tennessee, right, just lost the game to West Carolina. They score 88 points at home and lose the game. Obviously, again, your defense needs to be better. You can't allow that many points and, hope to beat a team that you lost to the first time around. But I do think if they just get out and get scoring this game, they should be able to win. And again, talent's a real deciding factor in some of these games. And the talent on ETSU, in my opinion, is greater than the talent on Wofford. The Buccaneers are led by 3 players scoring. That's going to be Cam Morris III, who averages 14.5 points per game. Senior out of Alexander City, Alabama, played 3 years at UMass Lowell, now over with the Bucks. Brian Taylor II, who's a senior out of St. Louis, just dropped 24 in their L to West Carolina, but he's averaging 14.5 on the year. He played 1 year at Milwaukee, 2 years at SIUE, now here with the Bucks. And then Blake Barkley, who's a sophomore out of Morgantown, West Virginia, averaging 14 a game. He came over from Northwestern last season. Now he's finally playing and starting for East Tennessee State. And then there's Wofford. And I mean, the way I watch this team, if you can stop Kamari Holmes, you're going to win. Kamari Holmes does so much for this team. He is automatic from beyond the arc. He's going to find himself in the corner a lot of the times. I mean, when Kamari Holmes doesn't have the ball, he's working corner to corner. He's trying to find his way to, be open in the corner. Kamari Holmes is really good. Kamari Holmes averages 19 points per game. He's a backbreaker. He's the guy that Wofford's going to look to. Once you get on a run, okay, Wofford is trying to deliver the ball to Kamari Holmes, and he's going to try to end that run. Holmes is a hooper. Niels Machowski as well is averaging 16 points per game. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it out of Machowski as much as I've seen out of Holmes. Again, that's no disrespect to Machowski. He's a good player, averages 16. But to me, again, the guy to watch undoubtedly for Wofford is their sophomore out of Charlotte in Kamari Holmes, who, again, second-year player for the Terriers, averaged 4 points per game last year for Wofford. He's now averaging 19. He's been phenomenal this season for this team. But again, the way that I've watched Wofford this year, if you stop Kamari Holmes, I think you have a really great chance to win the basketball game, and that's exactly what I'm looking for here with East Tennessee State. You limit Kamari Holmes, you win. And another factor as well, East Tennessee has beaten everybody this year in the SoCon except for West Carolina. Every team that they have played, they've found ways to win against. And I know some of these aren't the most impressive, but that's what, high-level teams and teams with a lot of talent in the SoCon or just in conferences in general are supposed to do. I think it's a great bounce back spot here for them. I don't think they lose back-to-back games in a row. And I think that Eastern Tennessee State can close the night for us with a win. I believe they walk into Wofford and win this game. The Terriers, I mean, I'm telling you, that Chattanooga game, yes, they win 81-55. That is such a low-level basketball game. And good on Wofford for winning. I will give them credit. But that was a low-level game of hoops. And I think Eastern Tennessee State can come in here and just clean things up. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers to close the day for us with a victory. They are minus 135 on the road, and I'm going to be taking, again, the Eastern Tennessee State Buccaneers to get it done at minus 135. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here on February 1st. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video, and make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets, and later today for our NBA best bets as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.